everybody. It's the governor will be here in about 5 minutes, and he told me I have 7 minutes to talk. So let me get to the point real quick. I feel like a televangelist walking down the aisle here. Up there, it felt like church. Everybody was in the back. So my name is Dave Hardy. I'm from Charleston, and the governor honored me in January of 2017 by appointing me Secretary of Revenue for the state of West Virginia. It's a great honor. My mother's very proud of me for that. And prior to that time, I was a county commissioner in Kanawha County and member of Charleston City Council. Let me tell you what I'm here to talk about today. 2 things. Number 1, the governor's plan to eliminate the state income tax in West Virginia. And number 2, why Amendment 2 is a bad idea and will stop the governor from implementing his plan. So let me tell you about our governor. We got there in January 17. First financial report we looked at, West Virginia was underwater for fiscal year 17. We were underwater $217 million. First report we looked at. Second report we looked at, which was for February or fiscal year 2018, which was 5 months away, we were $497 million underwater. So my East Bank High School mathematics teacher would be proud of me. I added those 2 numbers together, and when I added them together, I said, Governor, we're in trouble here. We're $700 million underwater. That was our starting point 5.5 years ago. Here's where we are today. June 30th of this year, the greatest day in West Virginia financial history. We closed our books this year with a $1,308,000,000 surplus for the state of West Virginia, and that deserves a round of applause. Now, the governor said, we need to go now. We need to start cutting taxes right now. And he's like Aaron Judge. He swings for the fences. I threw that out there for you, Doug. He's like Aaron Judge. He said, let's put together a plan to eliminate the state income tax. Why do we want to do that? 9 states don't have a state income tax. Those 9 states, you're familiar with most of them, I might add. Texas, California, Tennessee, among others. Those 9 states have grown in population twice as fast as the rest of the United States over the last 10 years. Those same 9 states have grown their economies 56% faster than the other 41 states. So the governor said, draft a bill. I'm calling a session in July. We did, and I'm going to cut the state income tax right now, immediately. First step, we're going to cut it by 10%, which would put $271 million back in your pocket in the year 2022. Not next year, this year. The House of Delegates, I'm proud to say, passed that bill in 1 day, almost by unanimous vote. They handed it to the state Senate, and guess what? Our state Senate would not even vote on the bill. They wouldn't vote because they want the people of West Virginia to support this Amendment 2. Amendment 2 is on your ballot November 8th this year. Let me tell you about the West Virginia Constitution. I love history. November 1932, we put in our state constitution that property tax revenue, and in this state, property tax revenues, $500+ million. A lot of money. When you pay your property taxes stay with the local government. They stay with county government, they stay with the school boards, and they stay with city government. That's what pays for all the services that you need. When you dial 911, you're not going to wait for Charleston, West Virginia to answer. That call is going to be taken right there, and that ambulance is going to be dispatched right there. That is what we do. And we bake that in the Constitution. Remember, changes to the Constitution have to be voted on by the people. It is guaranteed in the West Virginia Constitution for the last 90 years that the property tax money stays where it came from. local, stays right here. Amendment 2 is an attempt by the West Virginia legislature to remove that from the Constitution with the idea that the West Virginia legislature will determine where the tax dollars go. So it kind of goes like this. You pay your property taxes. The West Virginia legislature controls the revenue from the property taxes. And, oh, by the way, the West Virginia legislature will budget the money back to you. That's what Amendment 2 is about. What that basically means is no more constitutional guarantee. You'll rely on the West Virginia legislature forevermore, every year, regardless of what type of financial situation the state is in. And we know there's going to be plenty of them. We'll budget that money back. So if you think it's a good idea to trust the West Virginia legislature in Charleston for the next 100 years to budget your money back to you, you vote for Amendment 2. If you would prefer to keep a constitutional guarantee that your revenues stay right here, vote no on Amendment 2. Now, the governor has just entered the room. That's my cue. The 36th governor of the state of West Virginia, the Honorable Jim Justice.
Well, listen, thank you for coming, and you know, I talked to Kathy last night, Kathy, and we were talking about, it seems like forever ago now, but it also seems like 2 or 3 days ago that we had town hall meetings here at the Greenbrier, lots and lots of discussions about lots of stuff. And I know there's a bunch of folks here from the Greenbrier, and there's probably folks here from a lot of different areas. Now, you gotta do this for me. I hate to have you get up, but y'all gotta come down here. Y'all are too far away. Can y'all all come down here closer to me? Now, I know, because I wanna see you. Okay. Let me go back and just tell you just this, first and foremost, way back when I never had a thought in my head whatsoever about running for, of all things, running for governor. We had a lot of occasions to be together for the Greenbrier folks, and for a lot of the folks that I'm sure are from the area or from education. I saw Mr. Bryant, or whatever walks of life it may be. I've been very proud to have you as my friends, all of you. And so, I saw Coach Gordon and Tammy when I came in, and, just people that I owe a lot of life to. Now, the one thing I've done forever is I've told you the truth. I've not ever, nor would I ever, tell you something that knowingly I know is not the truth. Now, I'll make mistakes like all of us, but I'm not going to ever tell you something that's not the truth. And before I go any further, I want to just say just this, we got my beautiful little daughter here, Jilly, and our First Lady, Kathy. So y'all halfway clap for them just a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. But now, let me tell you why I'm here, and then I'll answer your questions if you don't ask really tough ones. But and then when I'm done, I'll sit right here, and if any of you want to come down and say hi to Babydog or whatever like that, I'll sit right here until you decide that you're sick and tired of seeing Babydog. But let me tell you something real quick about Babydog. How she got her name, and probably everybody knows all this stuff already, but it's, how she got her name was little JC, our grandson, 2 years old, Christmas time, just a little baby. That's all there is to it, just a little baby that just run around and do his thing, And all of a sudden, Jay and Jill come up with this incredible idea that they're going to get Kathy and I a bulldog. And so I'm just sitting there, and they just reached this little bulldog puppy over my shoulder. Well, we had 2 Boston Terriers that were sleeping in the bed with us every night at that time. And I thought to myself, whoa, this is going to grow into something a whole lot bigger than a Boston Terrier. Well, I thought, and then she did. She grew into a 60-pound brown watermelon. Now, and I say it all the time, but she's on the same dietary program that I'm on. On the way over here, we had a Hardee's biscuit, and I said, Kathy, and Babydog was really dialed in, and Kathy gave her, she had her own little steak and egg biscuit, and Kathy gave her like a couple little bites of egg or whatever. And I said, no, Kathy, you got to give her something to eat. And she said, Jim, I don't want to give her that and then her go in the hotel over there because she could have an accident. And I said, no, you don't understand, Kathy. Babydog always has pre-game meal. and so anyway, so all of a sudden now you've got this little bulldog, and then we've got, like it or not like it, but we've got a pandemic that hits us, and it's tough, really tough. I'll promise you it's been tough on every single one of you. And some of you, it's been disastrous beyond belief. Some of you have lost loved ones or great friends or whomever it may be, and it's been really tough. Every day, I sit there and read names, and can you just imagine that we're over 7,470 people that have died? It's not any fun, and it's really tough. But with all that, every time I kept looking at this little face from time to time, she'd go with me. First of all, she started going with me maybe over to the farm if I ever had time, and I'd bow hunt or whatever, she'd go with me. And then more people that saw her, I kept seeing this same reaction. She made people smile. And that crazy pandemic stuff was tough. And the other thing she did was, which is the most remarkable thing in the world, probably not all bulldogs are this way, but she loved everybody. And it didn't matter if you were rich or poor or Republican or Democrat or old or young, black, white, it didn't matter.
And then it just hit me like most things do, if you'll just be really fair. An everyday occurrence in which God chooses to remain anonymous. That's a coincidence. An everyday occurrence in which God chooses to remain anonymous. Well, that's really the definition of a coincidence. And I kept looking at her and said, is there a message anywhere that's more simpler and better than just that? If every one of you, me included, if we could all make each other smile and we could love each other no matter what, wouldn't it be one whale of a lot better world? And so with all that, our little grandson hit it out of the park, because on Christmas Eve, when we had the little bulldog puppy, she would be running around and he kept going around everywhere, just a little baby. And he would say, where'd that Babydog go? And so we named her Babydog. And now you go on to sleep now and then snore a little bit. But let me tell you the primary reason I'm here. You've honored me beyond belief being your governor. And we've done lots of stuff. And like it or not like it, you'll never be able to take things away from me like that I know. You know, my dad said all the time, you know, if he knew and God above knew, that's all that mattered to him. He tried to do so many things, you know, to where nobody knew he was doing them. When lots of people knew him. But he always said to me, to him, if God above knows and I know, that's good enough for me. Well, I can tell you just this, that when we walked in the door, and as far as being your governor, and first lady, first family, I'm going to tell you, there's certain things I can really do. And I absolutely can look at a set of books in no time and say, this ought to be done or this ought to be done. And it was the god-awfulest mess you have ever seen in your life. And our state was bankrupt. I don't care what anybody says. Our state was so bankrupt we didn't have anywhere to turn. We had absolutely for years drained the rainy day fund down. And nobody had an idea other than one idea, and that's just cut. Well, so at the end of the day, I kept saying, do you really believe now that you can cut your way out of this mess? You know, and I kept saying to him, do you not have enough sense to know that the more you cut, more people leave? And when more people leave, you just keep dragging this hole right with you? And it was tough. And a lot of folks in that crazy capital believe they got it all figured out all the time. And lots of times they don't have it figured out. Like I said before, I make a lot of mistakes. But there's a mistake being made right here that is so profound that it is off the chart. And it's not right. It's nowhere close to right. You see, what happened here was a couple of members of the Senate, your Senate President Blair and Senate Finance Chair Tarr, they came up with this real novel idea. And that is, tell you what let's do. Let's get on the ballot, you know, a mechanism that gives us the right to change the tax structure in the Constitution for all West Virginia. So the House and the Senate voted on it, and they passed it in a resolution. And it never came to me. They did a resolution, not a bill, a resolution to put it on the ballot. And then, of all things, and here's exactly the God's truth, they told me this. They came to me and said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to put with it that if people vote for it, they'll get rid of their car tax. And they'll never know it. They'll never really know it. They'll vote for this, for absolute certain, all of them will vote for it. And we'll just breeze right through when really and truly the car tax really isn't even the issue with them. And so you were hoodwinked. Now, in that, it seemed so benign. You know, here's what we're going to do. You know, we're going to let people not pay their car tax, and it's just going to be there as a mechanism, and then we all get together and we think about maybe getting rid of the machinery and inventory tax or whatever it may be. That's what happened. So all of a sudden, then I get wind that, wait a minute, what's going on here? And what they're doing, they're going around to all the county commissions all around the state, all the boards of education all around the state, and they've got so much momentum, it is unbelievable. Now, it's hard to imagine that this could really be. But you know, if you just think back about Washington, D.C., you know, everybody knows we call it the swamp. Well, why is it the swamp? The swamp definition is so simple. You have a lobbyist that's standing here that's representing some special interest group, the Sierra Club or big business or whatever. And the lobbyist has got all the money. And the lobbyist goes to the legislatures and gives them money, gives them perks, gives them promises of re-election, you know, or election campaigns, the next highest office of support, and on and on and on. And then the legislature says, sure, then I'll be for that. Well, then the legislature gets the money, gets the promises and everything else, and the lobbyist goes back and reports to their boss that basically they've got that vote secured. Now, that's not supposed to be how it works. How it's supposed to work is this way. You elect people and they go there and they represent you. But how it works today is not that way. It's not. No matter what we think, it's not. Now, let me tell you just this, and like it or not like it, but this is another thing Dad would say, I know, and the good Lord knows. I didn't sign up for that. I signed up to do what I'm supposed to do. I signed up to serve. You see, I really believe that our forefathers years ago, they all got together, they made the Constitution, and they absolutely gave up so much and lost a lot. Many of them lost their farms and everything on this idea and this premise of America. They did it. They really did it. Well, with all that being said, from my standpoint, I don't want anything. I never have. I drive myself. I don't take a salary. I don't want anything. And it's different. You got too many people today that have succumbed to this swamp, and too many people that are looking for some favor to them, too many politicians that have never had a job, and they're rich beyond belief. How can it be? How in the world can it be? So, all of a sudden then, I get a rude awakening like you can't imagine. I say this. I say, let's reduce the personal income tax by 10%, nothing. And let's get $254 million back in your hands. You'll spend it. You'll become our own incentive engine. But let's at least do that. Because if we do that, people are at the time in July, we're looking at $5 gasoline, grocery bills unbelievable, and absolutely inflation eating your lunch. Now, I thought there is no way that that's not going to pass in 5 seconds. So I call a special session. They come in, the House passes it just like that in one day. And I know then it's going to pass it the next day, and that's done. $254 million is going to come right back to you immediately. and then it just stopped. And I couldn't believe it. I said, what in the world is going on? And so I dug deeper and deeper and deeper. And what was going on is just this, and what's going on today is the same thing. The Senate leadership wouldn't even let the members of the Senate vote on it. And so basically, and why? And the why is just really simple. The why is they got to have all the money. To achieve what they have basically hoodwinked you on, they got to have all the money. The car tax is going to cost $130 million. The machinery and inventory tax, which is the 800-pound gorilla in the room, is going to cost $500 or $600 million. And really and truly, they got to have all that money. If they did the personal income tax at 10%, you got to add on another 254. Now, the net of the whole thing now becomes just this. When I discover all that, I know you don't know. You don't know. You couldn't possibly have known. There's no way. So I go and I meet with them, and I meet with them, and I meet with them and say, let's compromise, let's do something. Let's do something to help the people. My God, living, let's help the people. And literally, I might as well have just gone out with Babydog and barked at the moon, because they would not pay one thread of attention to me. None. So I do what I know to do, and that is come to you. Come to you and tell you what I know. And then at the end of the day, you'll vote. And you'll vote on November the 8th. And I can't lose, because I've come to you and told you the truth again. And if you vote for it, I'll be respectful of that vote. And then what I'll do is, in 2 short years, I'll be done. And when I'm done, you know, I can ride this wave that's going on now. My good gracious, we've got everything in the world cooking like nobody's business in this state. And it'll be the greatest ride in the world. I can go cut every ribbon, ride in every parade, and literally coast right to the finish line and not be here talking to you now. Coast right to the finish line, and probably the overwhelming majority of you and others all over this state will say, he's the greatest governor we ever had. And I don't have to be here. But that's not me. You see, I really believe this. I believe God above made me Jim Justice for a reason, and he made you, every last one of you, who you are for a reason. If I just hung out and knowing something is not right and knowing you're going to get hurt by it, I think he looks at me and says, I'm not happy with you. Well, that's the end of the story with me. So, getting back on track, just think. Then I decide that I'm going to come here. At that point in time, probably they had 90% of the vote to pass Amendment 2. Now, I don't know for sure that we can for sure kill it, but I know we're making ungodly headway. And here's the thing that you've got to now just put dead in the bank. I found a mechanism to get rid of your car tax without doing anything with the Constitution. Your car tax is gone now. You don't need to ever have one more thought about you paying your car tax. It's gone. You will get a rebate check immediately if they and they have to pass it. I mean, there's no if and the buts, and I'll explain that in just a second. They got to pass it. If they would give me the assurance they would do it tomorrow, I would send it to them tomorrow, and in the middle of next week, you'd be getting rebate checks and everything for the tax that you paid in September on your cars, because we're going to make it retroactive to January 2022. The car tax is gone. Gone. That's all there is to it. And the reason it's gone is just this, is because, and just stay with me, please. You see, they felt like that they had this dead in the bag. And then Yogi here went out and started talking to people. and things started really changing. First, when I went out and started talking, people looked at me and said, "Are you kidding me? Is that right? Well, we thought all this was just getting rid of our car tax. You're saying it's changing the Constitution and it's giving control to Charleston? You know, are you kidding me?" And then the next emotion that people had was, then they began to understand. So first of all, they didn't have any idea and they were shocked. Then all of a sudden they learned, and now you got to forgive me about this, now they're pissed. That's all there is to it. They're mad because they feel like they were deceived, and they were. And the longer it goes, the madder they're going to get. And they should. Because really and truly, you were led to believe something that didn't have one thing to do with really what they were trying to do. What they were trying to do is get rid of the machinery and inventories because big corporations were giving them money to achieve that of what they wanted. And at the end of the day, of all things, just step back and be real about this. Think how silly this is. Think about it. Do you realize that in your counties, what would happen, and Bob Pruitt described this perfectly. You know, a guy that used to coach at Marshall. He looked right at me, and here's exactly what he said. He said, "This is like a bunch of politicians that come and go, elected and not elected, get together and look right at you and say, okay, all of you, I want you to take your wallets out and give me all your money. Give me all your money. I'm a politician, give me all your money, okay? And then once I get all your money, any more money you got coming in, I get that too. And I, as a politician, am going to tell you that I'll give it back to you." You can't be that dumb. There's no chance you can be that dumb. But literally, that's exactly what they're doing. They're saying today you have in a county, you have a guaranteed income stream. It pays for the firemen and the policemen. It goes to schools. It does everything. You have a guaranteed income stream. You change the Constitution, that goes away. Shoo. And the second it goes away, then you as people and counties, the only way you can fund the police, the firemen, the schools, and all that other stuff is go to Charleston and beg for money. Now, just stay with me. What happens if these amazing surpluses last forever? And forever's a long time. What happens? Well, then it's okay. But on the other hand, all of us know dupe happens all the time. And it will. It absolutely will. You know, what happens if you want to give pay raises? What happens if PEI is upside down? What happens if you have a match from the federal government? We've got to put in so much to get a big match from the federal government. What happens if Medicaid has issues? What happens if just dupe happens? Then there's not enough money. And then they've got to look at you as counties because you're begging them for money and say, well, we don't have quite enough. Can you get by with a 20% cut? Now you're right back to the days when Jim Justice walked in the door. And you have no control. You have no control. So, the net of the whole thing, now it's crunch time. And you got to decide. To me, the people should be rewarded first. If you've got the surpluses, we should first and foremost get rid of the car tax. That's gone. That's going to help some. But we should get you on a pathway of getting rid of your personal income tax. And that way you're putting real money back in your pockets. Real money. Now, and not only that, anybody that's got a brain under the sun knows that any state that doesn't have a personal income tax or is on a pathway getting rid of it, people come. You get real life growth. You know, now, the net of the whole thing is just this. Amendment 2 now has nothing to do with the car tax. It has 100% to do with big corporations getting real money. Many of them are out of state. It has everything to do with very definitely eliminating the possibility of getting rid of your personal income tax. It has everything to do with treating big corporations and leaving, and I refer to you many times as Toby and Edith, just standing there holding the bag. And it has everything to do with losing control that you have the right, since 1932, you have had the right that counties have that guaranteed income stream, and you're giving it away to Charleston. Now look, I'd say the last of my last is just this, and then I'll answer any question you got. And it's just one thing. There's no way that there's anybody in this room that benefits more from Amendment 2 passing than me. I'll promise you without any question it would mean millions to me. Millions. And many of you know that really we were the only probably coal company that just didn't take bankruptcy when things got really tough, and it was really hard. And that would be really meaningful to me to have the millions if Amendment 2 passes. And I'm sitting right here telling you, don't do it. Because I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up to do something for me. I signed up to do what's right for you. And this isn't right. It's just plain not right. So with all that being said now, ask me anything you want to ask, but just remember just this, and I mean it. You have got to get to work. This is the moment when your state, your schools, your policemen, your county, yourself, your growth, everything's at stake. Everything. Right now. Right this minute. Now, all of you have got in-laws and outlaws all around you. And you've got your own little network. There's probably 500 of you in here right now. But many of you have families and friends and everything. You better get to work right now. Now the turnout won't be very high, but you've got to have enough gumption to go to the poll and vote. And you've got to vote no on this. Unless you're just, in my opinion, completely crazy. You want to risk everything coming or going. You want to just shove your county all in. Yeah, absolutely. You know, Jiminy, this isn't much different. And I'm one that would say, I don't really care if you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent. I don't care. And I don't. But I would tell you just this, that I do think the Biden administration and the way we're going is crazy land. You know, the idea, the concept of defund the police, I mean, where on God's earth does something like that come from? With what's going on at the southern border and all the fentanyl and, you know, and all the crime and what happened in Afghanistan and what's going on all across the globe with Russia and China and everything else under the sun, I mean, we are witnessing exactly the swamp. Now, if you want to be, per se, give up your state's rights to Washington, give up your county rights to Charleston, and believe that's going to work, look, I'm going to be in the parade. The parade's going to be over here in a couple of years. Absolutely, you don't want to run into me in Walmart and me look right at you and say, I told you so. But I will promise you to God above, there will be bumps in the road. Now listen, I don't come to you. I don't come to you just with nothing. When I come to you and I tell you something, I'm telling you, you have got to get off your hind ends and really go to work. Because you can't fathom what you've got at stake right now. If you let them change the Constitution, you know, that's big time risk. Big, big, big time. I really believe, you know, we pulled the rope all together. We've gotten through the pandemic as best we possibly can. I would tell you I've been super respectful. If you don't believe in vaccinations, whatever, I'm fine. That's your choice, and I respect it wholeheartedly. I believe with all in us, this isn't gone away, you know, and we can live with it. And the only bullet in the gun that I've got, the only bullet I've got is to tell you that, well, the way we can live with it's vaccinations. That's all I got right now. If I had something else, I'd use it. But we're going to be okay. And it could have been really, really, really bad. So, West Virginia has really changed, hasn't it? You know, just think. Now, instead of you being the bad end of a bad joke, you've become the envy of the world in many, many, many ways. You've become the diamond in the rough that we've all missed. And with all that, you should have been that all along. You know, I don't say, oh, yeah, that's my deal. No, no, no. No, no, no. All I did was just open the door for people to see how good you really are. And I mean that. I don't sit around and blow smoke up anybody's behind about nothing. I don't have time to do it. If I tell you something, I mean it. You're really good. You're better than really good. You're low crime. You're faith-based. You're craftsmen. You're loving, good, good, good people. You're West Virginians that live in paradise. I mean, for crying out loud. You live in the most beautiful state that there could possibly be. You're good people. You're the salt of the earth. All I just had to do is just turn you loose and show you off a little bit. Now the world sees that, and they're coming. Now, if we don't watch out, we're going about to blow our legs off here. We don't need to do this. We don't need to do it. So ask me anything you choose to ask. But no, serious business. And really and truly, not only have I got to have you, but if there's any little kids anywhere, at the end of the day, let's just be totally real. You're going into full action for them. They're the ones that matter. Really and truly, the next couple of years are going to be great for me. Beyond that and everything, I'm just going to strut around and everything else and act like, you know, I did something great. Many of y'all are doing pretty dadgum good right now, and that's great. Many of you are hurting because of this inflation deal, and that's not great. But really and truly, if you don't watch, you have the right to have this shut down, but if you don't watch, you're going to screw a lot of stuff up for those kids. You got to show up, and you got to help me. Ask me anything, please. Now, come on, y'all can't be afraid. You got to ask me something.
I've been to every one of these meetings, Governor, and I am of the opposite party, and some of you all, my claim to fame is the first female mayor of Lewisburg. He's telling you the truth, and you better listen to what he has to say. You need to vote no on this amendment. They have bluffed you. We don't need another layer of bureaucracy to take our money to Charleston, so by a promise, they may send it back to us. It's almost $7 million. So I want to make it real simple, what he said. There's no guarantee that your car tax is going to go away by voting for Amendment 2. I'd rather bank on him. The other thing is, when they talk about machinery and tax and so forth, here's what it means. 20 years ago, when Lowe's was coming to town, they tried to block it here. And one of my best friends was S.J. Needhawk folks, and I was worried about them. Lowe's pays the tax, the largest tax in this county. Second is the Greenbrier, and third is Walmart. And in last night's meeting, S.J. Needhawk was also in that number. That is $7 million by all the people that pay it. Steve Talbot pays it because he has all the car inventories in town. So it won't come back necessarily. We're going to wait for them. So 2023, if it passes, they've got your money. It's going to go to them. Then we have to wait for it to come back, if they agree to let it come back. I'm not willing to trust the legislature. The Senate has some kind of a plan. House of Delegates, even though they voted, they don't have any plan, and they're not getting along right now. So I think we should keep what we have until somebody tells us exactly how it's going to work if they change it and why it's good for us. And I do believe in no income tax, that should come along also. And I'm going to say one more thing. It would be nice if you turned loose a little bit of that $1.3 million and help them with gas tax. Thank you. As I said last week or whenever you were before, with all due respect, thank you for letting me talk to you, Governor, and not Yogi. I have great and high respect for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let me just comment just 1 second about just this. We want to help all of our businesses. We want to help our businesses. We want to help especially our small businesses and everything else. How's the best way really to help them? The best way to help them without any question is drive more business to them. That's all there is to it. That's the way really to help them. You know, the idea of them just standing on a street corner with their hand out and they want something, small business doesn't do that. I mean, for all practical purposes, I hope large business doesn't do that. I'm a real proponent of business. But if we want to help our businesses, let's really help them. The way to help them is get rid of your personal income tax. Do you know if you got rid of your personal income tax today in West Virginia, the people would have over $2 billion with a B, $2 billion more money in their pockets. What would they do? They'd spend it right here. The multiplier effect on that, if it's 10 times, it's $20 billion being spent in West Virginia that today's not being spent. For crying out loud, it would create so much business activity, it's unbelievable. And that's without one person of growth. And they'd come from everywhere. All the people, you know, in the north that are going to Tennessee or Florida or Texas or where, they got to drive through us to get there. You know, I mean, there is so much of an advantage, you know, and at the end of the day, without any question, what was just told to you is exactly the fact. Literally, 7 million is in the city maybe of Lewisburg. 7 million, you know, is really massively important there. You know, our superintendent of schools, Jeff Bryant, would tell you in Greenbrier County, it's $3 or $4 million to the schools in addition to that. But there's money all over the place, and you are in control today. You don't have to give that up. But then you go back to the Bob Pruitt thing. What they want you to do is you just absolutely just go along and give it up and let Charleston then decide all the time. It's crazy. It's crazy. Without any question, we need to do the car tax. Now, this you have got to listen to me on. There is no chance in the world that the car tax is not gone, and I'll tell you exactly why. If you defeat Amendment 2, the first bill, it's already written. I mean, good Lord, you can go online and read the bill. The Secretary of Revenue and his group wrote it. It's written. It will be the first bill that I submit when we come into our general session and everything in January. The first bill will go right up to the floor, at that point in time, to abolish your your car tax. And not only will that happen, but then you'll be retroactive back to January of this year, and everybody will get the check for this year, right off the get-go. Now, that's exactly what will happen. Now, do you really think, now listen, these people aren't crazy. They're not crazy. They've tried to slip something by you, and now you've caught it, and you're going to shoot it down. But then when my bill goes right to them in January, do you think there's a living one of them that will vote no on you getting your rebate check for your car tax? There's no way. I mean, there's no way. They aren't totally suicidal. No, they're not. So I am telling you without any question, hands down, the car tax situation's gone. The only thing bad about it is when you go into the ballot box, it's going to read right there on Amendment 2, and it's going to suggest something about car tax. And you absolutely have got to be way, way, way too smart to fall for that, because that doesn't mean anything. All that's really about Amendment 2 is change the Constitution. Take away the county's control. That's all it's about. Somebody else asked something. Hey, miss. Microphone, right over there.
We held the governor a couple weeks ago in celebration of breaking ground on our infrastructure at the city of Lewisburg for our new water plant upgrade. He spoke at our council chambers about Amendment 2. Our council and Mayor White was so passionate about the amendment being opposed that we passed a resolution Tuesday night making the stance with the council and the Mayor White that the city of Lewisburg opposes Amendment 2. There are several cities in the state of West Virginia that is passing those resolutions, and I just challenge that all the cities pass them, because we need to get the information out to all our citizens about how they're being shown that Amendment 2 shouldn't be passed. So I think that, I commend our council for voting for that. There's several business owners that would benefit from that, and they even expressed that personally benefiting, but showing that how bad it is for the state. So I just commend that you're getting out there and getting that information and sharing it to the public and opening everyone's eyes so that they're fully aware.
Well, thank you, Miss. Think about just this for a second. There's city after city every day, school board after school board, on and on and on. They're coming out saying, oh gosh, now we get it. We're no way in the world are we going to be in favor of Amendment 2. School board after school board, city after city. But just think about this. There's only 2 counties. There's only 2 out of 55 counties that have expressed in favor of Amendment 2. I'll bet you just a nickel to a donut that when the vote comes in, those 2 counties won't vote for Amendment 2. But 2 county commissions of all the counties in the state are for Amendment 2. They're probably the richest counties in the state, Putnam and Berkeley. Craig Blair's from Berkeley, Eric Tarr's from Putnam. Now look, guys, you're so good, and I love you with all my soul. and I always will. You know, I appreciate all the great people that are here from the Greenbrier that work every day. I appreciate all the friends that are here from all other walks, you know, whether it be cities or schools or boards or whatever it may be. I appreciate your friendship. Many of you are just friends, and that means everything. I mean it when I tell you I love you. And I don't have any, you know, anything in the world that's driving me in any way other than just to be here and tell you the truth. I'm proud to do it. I'm going to stay here 2 more minutes or 1 more minute and ask one more time, does anybody have anything else they want to ask or be concerned about or whatever? Because I think you got it. I think you understand it. But I'm going to plead with you this. Don't wake up on November the 9th morning and read that Amendment 2's passed. And then say, well, dang, you know, I could have gone and voted, or I could have gotten my family to have gone and voted or whatever, and I didn't do it. Don't do that. Because really and truly, it will really, really hurt us in a lot of ways. I hope to goodness that you'll be able to show politicians that you are the people. You're why they're there. You know, last of my last is just this. Remember, 4 weeks ago, the poll was probably 90% for, 10% against. I guarantee it. I'll guarantee it. And then Babydog and I have gone and sat on a stool. She snored a little bit from time to time. Whoever came up with this has really got something that really works with her. You know. But listen, without any question, 2 or 3 days ago, Metro News did a 24-hour poll. It was a flash poll. I almost am hesitant to tell you this because I don't want you now to go to sleep at the switch. But now just imagine this. 90% for it 4 weeks ago. Unbelievable, the amount of people for it. The poll that came out 2 or 3 days ago from Metro News said 15% are still undecided, 22% are for it, and 63% say no way. Show them. Show them. You know, I've really tried to show the outside world just how good you are. And when those people were still criticizing and saying bad stuff to you, I even picked a bulldog up and flipped her butt around to Bette Midler and said, okay, here's what I got for you, Bette. You know, absolutely, I've stood right with you with all my soul. If you believe in what I'm telling you, then stand right with me and shoot this thing down and help me. And if you don't believe it, let's be super respectful to one another and go vote for it. I think that's crazy. Now you got 20 seconds if anybody else has got anything to say. I thank all of you more than you'll ever know. You're really good. You should always know that. You know, I've said this a lot of times too. There was a guy at the golf tournament here. I will never probably be able to remember his last name. I was surely not a politician. Jim Nance interviewed me because we were the sponsor of the golf tournament, or the title sponsor. And he interviewed me for that minute and a half, you know, while the broadcast is going on. And basically, I just told what I tell you from my heart all the time, how great West Virginia is, how great we are. And then I was out on the golf course, and this guy comes walking up to me, and literally he was trembling and grabbed my hands, the little guy, big tears just pouring down his face. He said, I'm Bob whatever, and I can never think of his name. I wish to goodness that I could. big tears just running down his face. He said, "Thank you for making me feel better about who I am as a West Virginian." We see, I believed in you forever. Now let's go. Yes, sir. Do you have something?
Yes, sir. I'm in my 5th year as an educator here in Greenbrier County. And between Amendment 2 and the school levy that's coming up on the ballot this year, Greenbrier County schools are looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of, I think it's $8 or $10 million out of our budget. So between Amendment 2 and the school levy, if we don't do that, we cannot continue educating our students effectively and in a competitive manner. So I'm asking each and every one of you all to not only shoot down Amendment 2, but also vote for the school levy. That way we can continue to provide the best possible education for our students.
Well, thank you, sir. And now let me just comment just 1 second about that. Listen, if we blow up Amendment 2 and we want to do tax relief, and we will, and we won't be able to do any kind of tax relief because Amendment 2's blown up, except we will be able to do your personal income tax. We will. We'll get rid of your car tax. That'll give you some money. And then we will absolutely, I will promise you to God above, we will start on a pathway of getting rid of your personal income tax. And then, you know, here we'll go. Surely to goodness, we all want to support our kids and support their education and make it better and better and better. We all know we've still got some holes in the bucket in education, and we want to make it better and better and better. But I would be the guy to urge you in every way. You've been good enough to support levies in the past for the schools, for God's sakes, a living. You surely need to do that. But with all that, what I want to do is I want to put the money back in your pockets to where absolutely you're doing so good it's off the chart. We've got surpluses that are unflat believable, and they're your money. They're your money, not my money. It's your money. For God's sakes, living, we ought to give it back to you, not give it to some big company that is from who knows where. We ought to give you the money back. We'll get there. But I got to have you. Last and my last and my last. When I'm charging up that hill and they're shooting and there's arrows hitting me and it hurts, all I got to have is one thing. When I turn around and look, I see you're back there with me. If you turn around and look and all of a sudden you feel like you're really alone, it ain't any fun. It ain't any fun. Absolutely, as long as you're back there and you're slugging with me, we'll win today. We already have. We just need to keep at it. Yes, sir.
I appreciate that gentleman's comments about education and what Amendment 2 would do. Now, the truth is, as the governor said, if this was such a great thing, our politicians would be transparent and out in the open. But I know for a fact that they have been working behind the scenes, putting undue pressure on certain individuals in Charleston in certain leadership positions. Until the governor came out against this, those people were in a corner. They were in a hard way. And I was at meetings where they stood up and said, we're not going to talk about this because we've been promised they'll take care of us. Ladies and gentlemen, no plan, I'm not going to believe that. If you believe that, and you believe they tell you this is the year for public ed, and this, and you take this, God help you, because they will destroy it. If they were honest and open about this, they would tell the truth, but they're not, and now the governor's revealed it. Greenbrier County Schools has signed a proclamation. We're 100% against this. The County Commission, Greenbrier County, 100% against this. We cannot let this happen. This is such a deception that we cannot let come forth. We got to vote no against this, or we'll ruin everything we have and the governor's built for. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. He's right. He's right. It's hard to imagine. It's just hard to imagine. And you've got to ask yourself, why? Why would they have done this? And I'll guarantee you why. I'll guarantee you why. It's so simple. They want to run for governor. They want to be the next new Senate president. They want to run for something. They've been promised support and big money from the lobbyists to be able to do that. I hate to say it, but it sounds terrible. They don't care about you. They care about themselves. And it's wrong. And you need to let them hear you. Thank you so much for listening to me. I really mean it. For all the Greenbrier employees, for Jill, for Kathy, for my whole family, we love you and we thank you. And you're doing incredible work here. For all the friends and the school boards and all the county commissioners, cities and everything, God knows you're just the greatest. It's easy for me, you know, I've said it 10,000 times. I love you with all my soul. I'm proud of you beyond belief. You're showing off all over the world, and I'm going to keep rubbing Babydog's butt in her face. And I am. I'm going to rub her nose in it, because absolutely all those that gave us a hard time, they deserve to have their nose rubbed in it. And right now, I'm rubbing her nose in a lot of stuff that's going on in Charleston that's not good. It's not right. They've not told you the truth. And like I said, you know, I told one of the leaders yesterday, I said, first of all, the people didn't know, and they were shocked. And now they know, and now they're mad. And I'm going to just make them madder. And there's nothing in the world you can do to stop that. We don't want to lose this. We don't want to lose this. It's okay to get mad every now and then. You know, if you read the Bible and everything, and I don't profess to be Reverend Jim, but there was times when Jesus and good Lord got pretty tough. You know, absolutely, it's okay to be mad. You know, you're not told the truth. That's what I'm here to do. I'll be right here if you want to come up and say hi to Babydog. Nevertheless, God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for having me.